Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast.
We are covering chapter 161 today, Greentown Erumalu.
And let me just say, if you thought Crocodile was just a tough guy with a hook, this chapter pulls the curtain back on a plan so dirty, so diabolical, it makes you reevaluate what a villain can even be in this world. This isn't just about punching harder or having a cooler power. This is about psychological warfare on a national scale. It's vile.
He's not just trying to take over a country with force, he's trying to make the country kill itself from the inside out. It is a strategy of pure corrosion, designed to dissolve the bonds of trust, loyalty, and hope that hold a society together.
It is absolutely vile, and we are going to scrape away every single grain of sand from this conspiracy and look at the ugly truth underneath. If you think we're going to miss a single detail of this conspiracy as we break it down week by week, you are out of your mind. Hit that subscribe button so you're right there with us when we finally see this sandblasting jerk get what's coming to him.
Let's begin. The chapter opens with the crew crossing the Sandora River.
Right, they've finally made it across the big river, and Usopp is immediately freaking out about giant fish, which is fair. The Sandora great catfish is massive, and I don't blame him for a second. But then they run into some old friends.
The Kung-Fu Dugongs.
The Kung-Fu Dugongs, the students of the great master Luffy. They pop up and immediately recognize him. It's such a perfect, beautiful Oda moment. This little gag from way back at the start of the arc, this random encounter on the beach, comes back in a meaningful way. They're not just a joke, they're here to help the crew cross the river.
It's a classic example of what we call in literary analysis a Chekhov's gun, though perhaps in this case it's more of a Chekhov's dugong. A seemingly random element is introduced early on, and you assume it's just for a laugh, but the author brings it back later with a purpose. It makes the world feel interconnected and alive.
And it shows you something fundamental about Luffy, right? He doesn't try to build alliances, he just makes friends. He has this weird, magnetic charisma that pulls the strangest people and animals into his orbit. He punches a dugong, becomes its master, and now he has a ferry service. It just works.
It's more than just a gag, though. Vivi points out something important. Dugongs are sea creatures. They shouldn't be this far up a river.
Yeah, and she explains that the drought is so bad the river is becoming salty. The whole ecosystem is getting thrown out of whack. It's a small detail, but it paints such a clear picture of how wrong things are in Arabasta. That one line of dialogue does more world building than a whole chapter of exposition could.
It's the first physical sign we've seen of the environmental catastrophe. The country isn't just dry, it's fundamentally changing. The lines between river and sea are blurring. It's a profound metaphor for what Crocodile is doing to the country itself. He's blurring the lines between friend and enemy, between the royal army and the rebels, until the whole system is a brackish mess, inhospitable to its native inhabitants.
Whoa, yeah. The sea is literally invading the river. Crocodile, the seafaring pirate, is poisoning the lifeblood of the country. That's heavy. And of course, Luffy sees his pupils and is just like, yep, let's go. He has no concept of this being weird or ecologically disastrous. He just has an army of karate-chopping sea cows at his command now. Zoro's reaction, just completely deadpan, so you're their master, is priceless.
Zoro has long since given up being surprised by his captain's absurdities. He just accepts them as a law of nature at this point. It's a state of enlightened resignation.
Meanwhile, Sanji's probably wondering if they taste like chicken, and Nami is just happy for the free ride. Everyone has their priorities. But the Dugongs get them across, no problem, loyal students to the end.
They do indeed get them where they need to go, which is the town of Erumalu.
And the tone shifts hard, man. It shifts so fast you get whiplash. They get off the boat and the Dugongs are waving goodbye. It's all fun and games. And then they walk into this town and it's just dead. The laughter dies in your throat.
Utterly silent. Buildings are crumbling, buried in sand, skeletons lying in the streets, half submerged in the dunes that have reclaimed the town. It's a ghost town in the most literal sense. Oda doesn't shy away from it. We see skulls, we see full skeletons lying where they fell.
And the art is just devastating. The wide panels showing the scope of the decay, the way the sand is drifted up against the walls like a slow-motion tsunami. There's no sound effects in these panels, no rustle of wind, just silence. It's oppressive. Vivi tells them it used to be called Greentown. That name is just a punch to the gut when you're looking at this barren wasteland.
A name that has become a cruel joke. She said it was famous for its perfumes and greenery. You can almost imagine what it was like. A vibrant oasis full of life and scent. That sensory detail makes its current state even more horrifying. The only smell now is dust and death.
And now it's a monument to the drought. 3 years without a single drop of rain. It's one thing to hear Vivi say, "My country is suffering." It's another thing entirely to walk through a mass grave created by that suffering. She's not just telling them anymore, she's showing them.
This is a turning point for the crew's understanding of the stakes. In prior arcs, the threat was often immediate and personified. Arlong was a monster oppressing a town. Wapol was a selfish tyrant they had to depose. Here, the primary enemy has been an abstract concept, a drought. Now in Erumalu, that abstract concept has a face, and it's a skull.
This is what Vivi has been trying to explain to them. This is the reality of what's happening to her country. It's not just some political squabble about who gets to sit on the throne. People are dying. Whole cities are being wiped off the map. You can feel the crew's energy change. Usopp isn't making jokes. Luffy isn't thinking about food. They get it now. They're standing in a graveyard that used to be a home.
I think this is a critical moment for them. Little Garden was a primal fight for survival. Drum Kingdom was a medical emergency, a race against time to save a friend. This is different. This is seeing the slow, grinding, inexorable horror of a nation being starved to death. It's a quiet kind of violence, and in many ways, that makes it even more disturbing.
And the question that hangs over all of it is, why? Why here? Why is this one town gone while other places are still fighting to survive? And Vivi finally gives them the answer. She looks at this devastation, and the sadness in her turns into this cold, hard resolve. She starts explaining that the only place in the whole country that gets rain is the capital, Alubarna, where the king, her father, lives.
Which, from the outside, looking in, as a desperate, thirsty citizen, looks incredibly suspicious. The people are suffering, the land is cracking apart, but the palace is fine. The gardens of the wealthy are green. It's the perfect seed for rebellion. It creates a narrative of a callous monarch hoarding the nation's most precious resource for himself.
And then we get the flashback. 2 years ago, in the port town of Nanohana, Vivi lays out exactly how that seed was planted, and it's so simple and so evil.
A ship pulls into port, and there's an accident. A crate is dropped in the middle of a bustling town square, and it breaks open. It's all incredibly public, designed for maximum visibility.
Spilling this weird green powder all over the docks. People are confused, they don't know what it is, and then the guys responsible for the shipment start freaking out. They make a huge scene, shouting, "Oh no, the dance powder! It was for the king! The king ordered this!"
They couldn't have planned a more public reveal. An entire town square full of witnesses. It's theater. Pure, calculated political theater. They aren't just delivering a package, they're delivering a story that will spread faster than any newspaper.
Pure theater. And Vivi explains what dance powder is. This stuff, this rain-making powder, is forbidden by the world government. It generates a kind of smoke that attracts moisture, forcing clouds to release their rain over a specific area.
But it's a monkey's paw, a Faustian bargain. It doesn't create new clouds or new moisture. It is, in her words, a rain stealer. It leaches the moisture from the atmosphere for miles around, pulling it all to one location and leaving the surrounding regions bone dry.
So you're not making rain, you're just moving it. You're robbing Peter to pay Paul. And if you use it in the capital, you're directly responsible for creating drought everywhere else in your kingdom. You're actively sacrificing the rest of your country for your own comfort.
It's the ultimate act of selfish leadership, to keep your own garden green while the rest of your country turns to dust. And Crocodile, through this masterful piece of street theater, made it look like King Cobra was the one doing it. He didn't just frame the king for a crime, he framed him for the very disaster that he himself engineered.
It's so messed up. I mean, the sheer audacity of it. He didn't just cause the drought, he manufactured a culprit. He handed the people a reason to hate their king, gift-wrapped. That's not just a plan for a takeover, that's a plan to shatter the soul of a country, to turn people who have loved their king for generations against him.
And think about the name, Dance Powder. It sounds so whimsical, so innocent, almost festive. It evokes images of ritual and celebration, of people dancing to call forth the rain. But that beautiful name masks its true nature. It's a weapon of mass destruction.
Oh man, I didn't even think of that. It sounds like something a good king would use, like a happy festival thing. But it's just poison.
Precisely. The name itself is propaganda. It kills slowly, quietly, by turning neighbor against neighbor. It doesn't unite people against a common enemy. It divides them. It makes you blame the person who has water, not the person who stole it from everyone. It weaponizes envy and desperation.
And it worked perfectly. It's been working for years. Vivi says after that incident in Nanohana, the rain stopped everywhere except Alubarna. The people's trust in the king, a man who we know from Vivi is a genuinely good and caring ruler, was completely eroded. They saw the proof with their own eyes. He gets rain, we don't. The conclusion is obvious, even if it's completely wrong.
It also connects back to something we saw just a little while ago with that Baroque Works report.
Mr. Mello, the report on the dance powder.
Exactly. And I think we can even figure out who was in charge of it. Remember that agent we heard about, Mr. Mello, one of the billions who was ordered to eliminate Mr. 11 for failing his mission? It seems like he was the one who orchestrated the whole dance powder accident in Nanohana.
So this wasn't some low-level operation. This was a key part of the plan, the first domino to fall. And it was entrusted to an agent high enough to be an enforcer. That just shows how many moving pieces Crocodile has. He's been playing this game for years, setting up the board long before anyone even knew a game was being played. This wasn't a spur-of-the-moment thing. This was meticulously planned.
He's a chess master, and every single person in Arabasta is a pawn, whether they're on the king's side or the rebel side. He's not playing one side against the other. He's playing both sides against the middle, and he is the middle. He created the disaster, he created the scapegoat, and soon he will present himself as the savior.
It's infuriating because you know King Cobra is a good man. You see it in Vivi. She wouldn't be fighting this hard. She wouldn't have risked her life infiltrating a criminal organization for a tyrant. This is a man being framed for the systematic destruction of his own kingdom, and he probably has no idea how it even happened. He's probably tearing his hair out trying to figure out why his people hate him.
The helplessness he must feel is unimaginable. To be a good king who loves his people and to watch them slowly turn on you because of a lie you can't even see, let alone disprove. It's a perfect trap.
And then you have the world government angle. This powder is globally illegal, so Crocodile isn't just breaking Arabasta's laws, he's breaking international law. But because he's a warlord, he's got a license to do basically whatever he wants as long as he keeps up appearances. The whole system is designed to let a guy like him get away with this. It's rotten from top to bottom.
It raises the question of why the world government banned it in the first place. One can imagine a past where nations use this against each other, creating catastrophic weather wars. It's a hint that the world of One Piece has a history just as complicated and fraught with terrible weapons as our own. Crocodile isn't just a pirate. He's using a weapon that the entire world agreed was too dangerous to exist.
And that's where the chapter leaves us. Vivi is telling this story standing in the ruins of Erumalu, just filled with this cold fury, and she swears she's going to stop Crocodile, that she won't let one man's greed make her people suffer anymore. She understands the whole picture now, and she's laying it all out for her friends.
She's not just a princess asking for help anymore. She's an intelligence agent delivering a full briefing on the enemy's methods, motives, and operations. She's showing them the true face of the war they've agreed to fight.
And the crew, Bro, the look on their faces, they are all in. There isn't a shred of doubt. Luffy's just sitting there, arms crossed, listening intently, and you can see he's processing the sheer injustice of it all. This is it. This is the moment they go from "we're helping our friend, the princess," to "we are taking down a warlord of the sea because it is the right thing to do."
It's no longer her fight. It's their fight now. They've seen the graves in Erumalu. They've heard the story of the frame-up. The personal has become political, and the political has become deeply personal. There's no turning back. This isn't about treasure or adventure anymore. It's about liberation.
You mess with their friend, you mess with her home, you frame her dad for destroying the country, you're going down. It's that simple. That's the Straw Hat way. They don't care that he's a warlord. They don't care that he's a national hero. They see the truth behind the lie. They are going to punch a sandstorm in the face, and I cannot wait to see it. Super! That was it. That was the one. This whole reveal just earned it.
A declaration of war sworn in a dead town under a cloudless sky. It's very poetic. The desolation of Erumalu becomes the crucible in which their resolve is forged.
It's what they do best. They find the person who's making everyone cry and they kick his ass. And Crocodile is making an entire country cry. His bill is about to come due.
This whole plan of Crocodile's, the way it uses information and perception as a weapon, is just chillingly effective. It's a reminder that the most dangerous enemy isn't always the one with the biggest fist, but the one with the most convincing lie. What do you all think is the most devilish part of the Dance Powder plot? The deception, the environmental destruction, the name itself? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
All right, let's get into predictions for Chapter 162. I'll go first. We've just established the two sides of the coming war, the Royal Army and the Rebel Army. We've seen the King side through Vivi, and we know they're the good guys, but what about the other side? We can't just have a faceless mob. Prediction 1, next chapter we meet the Rebels. We have to see their perspective, and I bet we meet their leader, Koza. We need to see that they're not evil, just desperate people who've been tricked.
That makes a lot of sense. To truly appreciate the tragedy Crocodile has orchestrated, we need to sympathize with both sides of the conflict he's created. Okay, my first prediction. We just got a massive lore drop about Crocodile's plan delivered by Vivi. It's a classic Oda move to then cut away and show the villain, reinforcing their power and supposed control over the situation. I think we'll cut away from the Straw Hats in the desert and see Crocodile himself, probably in his base of Rain Base, receiving a report from one of his agents, just to remind us how in control he feels. The dramatic irony would be immense.
Ooh, I like that. See him sitting there, smoking his cigar, thinking he's got it all figured out, while Luffy's crew is about to crash his party? Okay, my second prediction, this is a bit of a classic, but after a chapter this heavy, this full of death and despair, Oda loves to break the tension and remind us what the Straw Hats are fighting for. Life. They're in a dead town, everyone's starving. My prediction is Sanji is going to somehow find a secret, miraculously preserved store of food in one of the ruins and cook a huge meal. A moment of hope and good food in the middle of all this death. It's a symbolic act. They're bringing life back to Erumalu, if only for one night.
A feast in a ghost town. It feels right. A reaffirmation of life in the face of so much death. For my second prediction, I'm thinking about Baroque works. They've been one step ahead of the Straw Hats this whole time. Vivi even mentions that she suspects a spy followed them from Whiskey Peak. I don't think they're alone in Erumalu. My prediction is that as the chapter ends, someone, probably Zoro with his sharp senses, or perhaps myself with my own unique skills, will get a flicker of a feeling that they're being watched. We won't see who it is, maybe just a silhouette on a dune or a glint in the distance, but the paranoia will set in, that Crocodile's agents are already closing in. The brief moment of safety they felt is about to evaporate.
Oh, that's good. The hunters are about to become the hunted. I love it. Okay, that's all the time we have for today. This was a heavy one, but man, it sets the stage for one of the best sagas in the whole series.
It truly does. The stakes have been raised to a national level, and the enemy is more cunning than any they have faced before.
You're not going to want to miss what happens next. Be sure to join us next time as we continue our journey through Arabasta. Until then, stay super.